Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another installment of Lyles Figure Files. Had another Yojo June live stream, this time on Instagram. Not my choice because I hate seeing the ridiculous comments on there, but we still got two great announcements from Emily and Lenny, and the biggest neon sign. This is the HasLab we're doing, but we can't announce it officially until next week. Really excited about that, but let's break down the two announcements today. So first up, we're getting Scrap Iron. And they mentioned that he's going to come packaged like those deluxe figures like Crocmaster with Fiona and Snake Eyes with Timber. And his pet, if you will, is going to be a drone. And that makes a lot of sense for a character like Scrap Iron because they can do some creative things. He had that big rocket launcher, the stand set up, and he was a cool villain on that sense. And in the comic book, Larry Hama made it so he could actually carry that, lift it, as opposed to just having it on a base and a stand. And he, in the comic book, Scrap Iron, was pretty sinister. I mean, he accomplished what very few Cobras did in the entirety of the series, where he killed off 3 important supporting characters. I won't spoil it in case you haven't read it, but if you have not, what are you waiting for? Read it, it's great. The GI Joe run from Larry Hama, Marvel Comics, was awesome, so definitely check that out. Anyhow, Scrap Iron was great in the comic book. I felt like he didn't get enough burn later on, but he was a really good character early on. In the cartoon, he was one of Cobra Commander's most trusted lackeys until he kind of turned on him in Rise of Pinto Rise. But it did some cool things there too. So Scrap Iron is kind of one of those fun Cobra villains. Really curious to see what they do in terms of his helmet. They're going to have it removable, have some scarring on his face or whatever. But I really like him, and I loved his color combination with the blue and red, the 2 signature Cobra colors, and really am excited to see him join the line. He's another one of those dangerous weapons specialists like Firefly, and he was just part of that great, excellent Series 3, the 1984 wave, where Cobra just brought in all these heavy hitters of great characters with great vehicles, and really excited to have him join the line. And as for Grunt, I'm all about the original 13, so very excited to get him. This is the GI Joe logo, and I know some people are going to be like, he's way too plain. This isn't an exciting figure, but to me, again, going back to the comics, Grunt was a key core member of the team. And also he had the distinction of being the first one to retire. He left active duty and became a civilian, but just like the mob, you could never really leave GI Joe. So he would occasionally come back to help the team out. That was cool. And Grunt just offers up so many possibilities. I mean, they pretty much got that base body down already with Breaker and Snake Eyes Commando version. Stalkers are reusing it. So it's not like they're going to need a lot of new parts. Of course, he's going to need a removable helmet. But if you take a look at that GI Joe Retro Grunt, an amazing figure. All they really need to do is just translate that to the classified series. We'll have another great addition to the original 13. Now, I'm really impressed how many of those characters Hasbro's knocking out early on. I feel like the temptation would have been, oh, let's do all these fancier looking characters, the more intricate, exciting, pop off the shelf figures. But I love that they're taking the time to knock out piece by piece more of these original 13 members. And we're getting kind of close to getting it halfway done now, and that's exciting for me. And can't wait to put them up on their own shelf, hanging tight, looking cool, the original 13 GI Joes. And so I decided, let me break down what we've gotten from Yojo June, because we've gotten a slew of announcements of figures coming up next year, maybe 2024 at this rate. But let's break them down here. And I think they've done a great job of covering characters from every really key pivotal wave in the first 5 or 6 lineups of GI Joe. So for the original one, we've got Rock and Roll and Grunt coming. For the second wave, that great one, we got Snow Job, Torpedo, and Cover Girl. Now we don't have anybody for wave 3. That's the Mutt and Junkyard one, but they've covered a lot of characters in that already. We got Roadblock, Duke, Spirit. I keep waiting on that Mutt and Junkyard announcement. Maybe that's next week, but it seems really odd at this point. We haven't gotten them. And Blowtorch, Ripcord. We know Rakondo is in the line as a Tiger Force, so eventually he's going to get a repaint. So I guess that kind of counts, but they're getting there. That was another smaller lineup in terms of the amount of Joes we got, so they don't have to rush to get as many of those as some other waves. Shipwreck is coming from the 1985 series, and we got another week. I'm assuming we get one more from them. Maybe we see the classic colors Bazooka, maybe Alpine, maybe Quick Kick. Those are the two figures I'm really excited to see what the classified series sculptors do to really take them up to that next level of 6-inch goodness, because they should look amazing. And then we skip over the 1986 wave. Again, we've got a decent amount of those guys. Roadblock, Sergeant Slaughter, and I guess that's it so far. So imagine Lowlight and Sci-Fi have to be coming soon. Leatherneck, Wetsuit, any one of those four. We've already got Beachhead kind of holding it down on his own, but that lineup needs some help soon. Maybe General Hawk, Iceberg. The 85 and 86 were the best two waves, and hopefully we get some more of the 86 set. For the 87 lineup, we've got Lieutenant Falcon and Tunnel Rat coming. Again, there's some obvious ones that seem like they should be next. I'm thinking Jinx, Chuckles, Big Lob, Law and Order. I mean, I feel like Law and Order should be really easy. I guess that's depending on how much they're going to do different from, say, the Timber sculpt to Order. If they're going to just go, no, it could be an easy repaint. We're going to just do a totally different sculpt for Order, which would be cool, but I would understand if they use a lot of parts from Timber to just repurpose Order, because I kind of feel like we should get Mud and Junkyard first. But anyway. And then we got two Cobras, both from the 1983 wave. We've got Scrap Iron and we've got Copperhead. So I guess to some extent we do have 1984 covered. So lots of waves have been knocked out with different representations from those respective lines. Really exciting. And with Grunt, I feel like I typically don't jump on kind of gimmicky stuff, but I think I would 100% buy a Hasbro Pulse hang glider tan outfit version of Grunt in just some ridiculous way that I can throw it around in the backyard just because they've made it so I could do that. And I don't feel like if they could make the parts just solid enough that you could actually fling it in the air, that it would stay up without crashing and breaking everything, it would need to be that expensive. But I would kind of love to see that. And with them making Grunt, this opens up that doorway for that. That could be a cool deluxe figure down the road. So we got those, and Lenny's birthday was today. Emily presented him with a cake with a HISS tank. They were like, hey, wink, wink, wink. I wonder why in the world we have a HISS tank on here. And I love that. I don't like the whole secretive nature of action figure companies. Like, oh, we can't tell you anything. It's a locked gate. We just have to wait till you see it. And I mean, we got the internet. People are finding this stuff out anyway. So I love the fact that they're just kind of playing into it like, here's our tease, and maybe you'll figure out what we're talking about for the HasLab. I mean, a lot of you guys put in the comments, hey, it sounds like a tank. So clearly, the HISS tank was definitely a big choice. I know there was a thought of it being the Triple T tank. That was another really good option. But I think in terms of the HasLab, you got to lead off with the HISS tank because it is the signature Cobra vehicle. If you're like me, you've been army building a lot of Cobra troopers. This could be a way to stockpile a bunch of your army builders onto one kind of base piece and clear up some shelf space while you're sacrificing others for a tall tank. I can't wait to see what that looks like. The HISS tank is a really cool vehicle, and I'm really hoping the price on that is not too over the top, because that's something that I could really definitely see maybe buying more than one. And I think that's the beauty of the HISS tank, where if it's not like $500, collectors might go, let's get 2 or 3 and have a whole fleet of HISS tanks to go after the Joes. I feel like anytime Hasbro releases a new line and a new updated take on GI Joe, when they do their version of HISS tank, I get 3. I don't know if I'm going to get 3, but if the price isn't too ridiculous, 2 is definitely not out of the question. And even before it gets announced, if you're a fan of GI Joe, if you're a fan of the classified series line, I definitely, without knowing the price, encourage you to check into getting this HasLab, because there's so many vehicles for GI Joe. I mean, I think GI Joe was even more so, maybe just along the same lines as the original Star Wars, the vintage collection now. we're so dependent on the vehicles. Like, you had your figures and your play sets, but such a core component of it was the vehicles. And getting more than a motorcycle is really exciting. And I'm really curious to see what kind of incentives and tiers they have. Clearly, the HISS Tank driver is going to be number one on that. But I'm wondering what else they could put into that to make it worthy of, oh man, if we get this many, then we can get this figure. Maybe this is an opportunity for Dr. Venom, where a character who comic book fans would really appreciate getting, and cartoon fans were like, who's this guy? But I think this would be an opportunity for him because, again, in issue 16, Dr. Venom was running around on the loose, and he was setting up this plague at the Smithsonian, riding in the HISS Tank along with Cobra Commander, and they were like, why is Destro tripping? The Baroness is messed up, and anyways, good. Dr. Venom is a cool enough character to warrant inclusion in the classified series, but I think he would make a really good bonus figure for something like the HISS Tank, as opposed to, hey guys, all you cartoon fans who've never read the comic, here's a guy in a lab coat, and he's just as cool, maybe even more so than Dr. Mindbender. And I think for people who would go the HasLab route, he's a really good option. So let's see. I'm really curious to see what they do with that. And of course, I'll have a lot more to say about the HISS Tank HasLab reveal next week. But that's just my thoughts on today's reveals. Really excited to get Grunt added to the line, Scrap Iron coming, and crossing out further my list of Joes and Cobras on my wish list. That's pretty exciting because it's like they can tackle so many for so many years before I'm like, okay, I don't care about this guy. But right now it's like, yes, that's another one I'm looking forward to. It's kind of more of a, what year do I want them to tackle more characters on? But they're doing a really good job of spreading out the figure wealth. I'm really excited about that. So that's it for me on this episode. Thank you so much as always for watching. This episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.